So just to give, all right, thank you, Angga. So just to give a context, I myself are currently studying in the university, same with Angga, in economic development, but I'm not an environmental specialist or expert or anything, but I'm just interested in this topic. So like anything, if you guys have any thoughts or anything to share, just feel free. Don't feel like, you know, if you don't know like much about it and then you hesitate to share, no, don't think about it. Just share and then tell everyone about your thoughts. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen. Wait. And you know, sometimes people say that I'm talking too fast. If you feel that way, just quick raise your hand and say, I'm gonna say like slow down. Wait, this one, okay. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, it is clear.
Thank you. So I'm gonna start. So I think I have to, if I want to see someone hand, I should do this. All right. Now that's better. Now, so the topic today is related to the ethics behind the environmentalism. Maybe some of you already heard why I choose this topic, but it relates to the next one. So I took one of the course from Professor Paulberg. It's one of the lecture in NU, and he taught about environmental economics. And one of the topics is related to these ethics. And all the pictures in these presentations are taken from the Microsoft Designs, maybe you may know, and then Natural Conservancy, and all are Google free content. And again, I just want to underline that this presentation is for one-time discussion and not for profit. And again, there's no right and wrong. I myself still learning also in this topic. So a little bit background. I just want to ask first before I move on, have you, any of you have any interest in topic related to environment and climate change? Maybe Sunshine, what Aku? What do you... Why you put your tongue out? What do you think? Do you like this topic? Sunshine?
Okay.
Yeah. What do you think, Sunshine?
Okay, yeah. Okay, just want to raise hand first.
Thank you.
Honest, I like to have my thesis under the topic green economy, so it's somehow relatable on that part. I'm going to make trade as my intervening variable to measure the level of carbon emissions in Indonesian and also Asian. I think that's the preface.
Oh, that's very interesting. I think you know more than me, but this is good. So we can share thoughts here.
I didn't start it yet. So.
So yeah, so there's if you're talking about like climate change, it's been a very like ongoing debate, right? All over the world. So like starting from, we heard about it like from the Montreal Protocol. I think it was in junior high school, we heard a lot about like ozone depletion, and then all the advanced countries are trying to have this agreement how to tackle this issue. And then we heard also about the air conditioner and all of that things that's related to the Montreal Protocol. But then in 1992, that's one of the breakthrough. It's not only talking about the ozone. It's because ozone is only like one part of the, you know, in our atmosphere, but then like the whole sustainable future, and countries are thinking like, okay, we should do something about it. And that comes the Earth or Rio Summit. That's the famous Earth and Rio Summit in 1992. And that's also the first, the beginning of UNFCCC, if you guys ever heard. So it's like a United Nations body, but focused on the climate change. And then after that, countries are trying to make this kind of agreement. It's a top-down. It's a top-down agreement. It's a Kyoto Protocol. So trying to limit the greenhouse gas limited. Okay, what's that? Oh, sorry. I thought someone asked me question. Nah. So like in 1997, countries trying to have that agreement again, and it's related to greenhouse gases. It cover like nitrogen and then CO2 and everything. And then now in 2022, but I want to ask, like, probably some of you do you know the latest agreement or the latest convention related to climate change, the famous one? Angga, do you know?
Is that Paris Agreement?
Yeah. So the Paris Agreement. What do you think about the Paris Agreement?
This is actually more advanced, a way forward than the previous one. But I still feel doubtful because this one is raised by the big countries who have been polluting a lot, actually. So they're the ones who are responsible for this climate crisis, but they're the one who's raising the solution. So that's why I feel doubtful about this. But yeah, of course, we need to be, we need to raise criticism as well. That's what I think about this.
Okay, thank you, Angga. Nah, that's right. So in 2015, it was celebrated like all over the world, because we finally have agreement, even though it's it's a non-binding agreement, but it covers almost 200 countries. And if you realize in this timeline, it's very close. So it's like 1989 and 1992 and then 1997. But then the Paris Agreement comes much later in 2015. Why is that? Because one of the thing is in Montreal Protocol, the issue is like related to the northern countries. So it's related to the ozone depletion, and that's like all the big countries. But then in Kyoto Protocol and in greenhouse gases emission, it's cover like much bigger, not only ozone, but much bigger and more countries. And in Kyoto Protocol, it fails actually. So the protocol doesn't really work because it's top down. So like the agreement asks countries to do X, Y, Z. While in Paris Agreement, finally it works after so long, after 1997, the country can they can set their own target. So country can, for example, like the United States or the Chinese government, they can say like, okay, I want to do this, I want to reach this. And then the United Nations just like, do the reporting and follow up. But all the targets are set by the countries itself. That's why it's called the NDC, or nationally determined contribution. I'm sorry, it's very technical. If you guys find it lost, just again, like just quick raise hand and we can just discuss. Again, I'm still learning as well in this topic. So that's the latest progress, just to give a brief context. So after all of those, debates, and it's actually been a long time since 1980s, do you guys think that what we have done for the environment are enough? Or do you think we should do more? What do you think, guys? Yin, Yin, Intan, Hu, Indre, Anis, Dania. What do you think, guys? Do you think, are we done enough for the environment with all the agreements that we have, or we should do more? All right. Sunshine, yep. What do you think?
It's a little bit hard to give a statement on this question, even though it only consists 4 words. But I guess it's quite challenging to state the strategic that will be imposed by the government in confronting the uncertainties after the economic recessions in the upcoming years. But I believe that in the midst of this year, there was huge news in regard to the alleviating procurement of foods. We might be in a decline of food provision, but somehow another thing that we need to also ensure is about renewable energy. I suppose that there might be a geopolitic behind the energy right now, as what happens between Ukraine and Russia, and also some European countries and also UK. But I believe in Indonesia still focus on how to build more infrastructure instead, because they believe to channel the rural or the isolated areas to make more impact on the economic growth is somehow valuable in handling all those challenges. I mean, like certain uncertainties, and what becomes the underlying effect, especially at the end of the year, is that there are so many disasters happening in our countries. I believe that there should be how to say, a knockout warning given by the environments to our governments or to all inhabitants of this country. And since probably the environment is not their main concerns over the economics that they always glorify up to this time. I think that's my comment.
Thank you. Very, very detailed comments. Like if you guys heard, so Sunshine mentioned about the current geopolitical, and then also the renewable energy, and then also the disaster that happen like more and more severe. Yeah, that's part of the climate change. And again, I want to ask others, I want to hear from Yin. So what do you think? Are we done enough for the environment? Or anyone? Dania? What do you think, Dania? Or who is it? Indri. Mas Indri.
Okay.
Yep.
So I suppose that it is not enough. Why? Because when we still see the people using a machine or a kind of the things that produce the carbon emissions or something like that that will trying to destroy the environment, our homework is still not done yet. So this is the reasons that we still trying to find the good solutions. When we ask them to stop it, is 100% impossible, because many people or many countries depended on a kind of thing. It's like carbon emission and others. But I do agree with the statement of Mr. Sunshine before, that we need to find the renewable energy, how to make a friendly environment and others. But something that we can see on the development of the renewable energies is not only in Indonesia, but in many countries is not running well. It because of many businesses behind that itself. For example, many companies can call it the oligarchies when they don't like if there is renewable energy, so they're trying to destroy their businesses and others. So this is the reasons that we need to find the solution. And we can see in many years, many inventors has found a kind of the brilliant or the amazing renewable energy, but they are stopped in the middle of their struggling, is because of there is no one, including a government, including many stakeholders, which support them to release their invention. So this is the biggest question also that lead this topic. What we wanted, what we want right now, is it we want to go straight with renewable energy, or we still stuck in the gas emission and waiting for this earth destroyed. Right. So this is my statement.
Thank you, Indri. Thank you very much. So this is very interesting. Like you add another point. It's related to the need and our capacity to produce right now. Like as we know, like many communities still depend on, for example, Indonesia, we still depend on coal very much for our electricity. Well, probably advanced country, they already move on to like more on renewable energy. You also pointed out about stakeholders, like the involvement of the companies. That's also at another point. And also good underlying point that related to what do we really want now. That's also why I choose this topic, because it again goes back like what's actually the ethics when we always debate about environmentalism. Angga, do you want to add something? Unmute yourself.
Yeah, sorry,
Yep.
I was typing something because there's our old friend coming in our discussion. Hi, Aji, nice to meet you. Are we done enough? I kind of agree with what has been said by climate activist. What's her name? Greta Thunberg. Yeah, Greta Thunberg. So she said, this is just another blah blah blah. So yeah, so there has been so many conferences done, but our climate emission is still high. So in my opinion, the solutions have been found. Okay, there's so many research, there's so many interesting data regarding new renewable energies, or regarding how we can just let the local communities preserve our own environments, because they have already communally reserved forest or in their communities, in their local communities. So yeah, I mean, the solutions are there actually, but it's all about the wheels of the government, of the ruling in every country. Even though the conferences have been done and the results have been conducted as well, but there's so many countries, like developed countries or even developing countries as well. They some of them are still opening new destructive industries like coal industries, like the articles that Aska shared just now. Developed countries, even though they agree with the solutions has been raised, but they still opened so many or some destructive industries like coal, for example, or even in my areas in East Borneo, the mining industries are still the main one, and we cannot see that whether the government will reduce these industries for the foreseeable future. So yeah, the solutions are there already. So yeah, it's all about the needs. Mr. Indra is right, because it's hard to to shift from this energy to the new one, because it's all about the business. Businessmen who are close to the government, they have profited from this issue, from these energies for ages. That's why it's kind of hard to shift from what we have now and to the future. Hence, it's important to push this from below. Therefore, I really have been a good supporter to climate movements. Because I think from there we can push the government to do more to our energy policy. Yeah, that's what I think. Thank you.
Thank you, Angga. So yeah, so I just want to share a little bit like this. Probably you've seen it somewhere, but like our target is in 2000 to 2100. Hopefully we still alive by that time, and hopefully the our Earth is still like we can still live in this Earth. I always pray like that. But yeah, so we expect it's not like past the 1.5 degree. This is on average in the whole world. But then like because again, as I mentioned before, the Paris Agreement is a non-binding agreement, and that's a nationally determined. And if it's all combined, it's actually still, still it's going to be increased at even more than 2 degrees by end of the century. But again, so it's not enough to reach the targets of 1.5 degrees. And even the target itself, I mean, that's the target is not enough. And the implementation is even worse. It's like around 2.5 until 2.9 degrees. So to be honest, like if you see like my background right now, I'm living in Muara Enim in South Sumatra. Is one of the, probably is like is Kalimantan, one of the producer of coal. So I live in coal mining region here, and I know like the challenge. People always say like, so what's the alternative? Like, what can we do? Like this is our life here. So that's always like that, the debate, and that's what make this topic very interesting. And everyone need to involve and to be like actively participate in discussion about this topic. So yeah, so the big question is like, why is it so hard to save our only planet? Like this is why is it so hard? Because I know some people even get like depression and very frustrating when talking about this topic. So I want to bring this discussion more on like, everyone can try to participate and try to engage more by having case. So this is the first case. I want you guys to imagine like there's a capital city, probably very relates to our case, like capital city is sinking and urgently need to be relocated. But then the new region have a very rich biodiversity and a forest intact. So do you guys think that we should move the capital city? What do you think, Who? I can see your smile from here.
Sure.
Yep.
Actually, thanks for the chance here. I have no idea to talk about environmentalism, but as far as I'm concerned, that we should build up our awareness. Since like, what should we reconstruct between software or hardware as to save this earth? Talking about saving or taking care civilization, of course, we need to reconstruct between human capital or let's say, how to say in English, human research or natural research, because the population of the people will be increasing, but how to balance with the earth to reduce you say the climate change, whatever, how to reorganize it, seems like renewable energy and so on. But maybe even the chance to move in one place to another place, does it solve does it overcome the case? Yeah, maybe in one case it is true, but in one place, in a new place, will it affect to the new cases, or will it create or establish the new case? Of course. How to solve it? I guess that we need to construct software thinking as awareness, as humanity, maybe to reduce the plastic and so on, the way how to use the plastic as emissing carbon and whatever, something like that, to be healthy or yeah, something like that, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you. Hu. I know, I know it's a hard question, but it's very close to us actually, because we might find this, we always hear about this topic over and over again, right? In our newspaper and everything. And I know this is a hard question, but I think it's good to discuss and hear from everyone. Miss Chika, what do you think? Or Miss Mega? Or anyone? What do you guys think? No. Oh, Mas Aji, what do you think? Oh, Mr. Aji, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I think
I, let,
I think you want to share something. I can see that.
I have a lot of ideas, but I let the other first. I wanna say in close statement. I mean, in closing about this discussion. Maybe I will say something. Thank you. I let the other first. Maybe Livia or Indre. Hello, co-brother. It's been a long time not to see you. It's interesting. Yeah, I will just listen.
Thank you. No, Mr. Rungu, you are feel free to share. Livia?
Not yet. Sorry. I forget to mute.
It's okay. Okay. Indre. What do you think, Indre?
Yeah, to change the capital city is a solution. So it doesn't determine when we change or our move our capital city, they'll trying to solve the problems. Because the problem is not the capital city, but the problem is the people. And how to direct the people is the regulation. So even though we move our capital city, but the city arrangement is still worse. I suppose that the gas emission also, or a kind of the thing that will destroy the environment, is still going also. So these are the reasons that we need the stricted law. Yeah, how to direct the people to do the good ways. So for example, yeah, it's kind of the famous thing in Europe. Is called by one of the book. Is called of the city of the futures. In how Russians create a great city and the smart city in Europe that is extremely famous right now. And yeah, the strict law to the investors and also to the companies that make them cannot do what they wanted, or the oligarchies here cannot do what they need to do, is the good way to stop them from their from their selfishness and others. So these are the reasons that we need to make the regulations or the strong people or the strong leaders that brave to say no to the companies or a kind of the stakeholders that will destroy the environment. So this is the good solution. When you move your capital cities, so it means if the regulation is still bad, I suppose that you will do or you will destroy another part of your countries. If, for example, if in Jakarta has been bad with their environment, in so many gas emission up there, but and after that you're trying to move to Kalimantan, for example, and the regulation is still same. So just waiting for the bad thing that also will happen, especially in Kalimantan. And when you try to move again, you try to broke many places in your countries. I suppose that it will not give a good solution. The solution is coming from the law in your countries itself. So let's make your country stand. Let's make yourself really stand by let's make you are live in your own countries. But the factual right now, people feel that they don't, even though we are live in Indonesia right now, but we cannot say no to the investor is because of we don't have a big power. So please create a power, and after that you can manage your oligarchies, and yeah, gas emission, I suppose, that will be decreased in the future.
All right. Thank you, Indre. Very interesting. You highlight about the institution and regulation setup and oligarch. Mas Unggul, do you have any thoughts before I move on to the next case?
Yeah, actually, it has a relation with extractive government rights. So, for example, when you want to be a president and you need a few trillions, I mean, in Indonesian, it
Yeah,
means you should be
mahar
supported
politik.
by Indra, for example. And for example, when I be a president with that money that I don't have it, and coming from Indra, the money is, the problem is I should give a concession. It's called HGU in Indonesia, right? So for example, the HGU is, I put it in Kalimantan in order to make sure that I will give the money of Indra's back to him. So it is same. I mean, I think have the same opinion with Kibo that it is also always has a relation with extractive government, extractiveness of bureaucracy, and so on. So yeah, whatever the society wants to make, for example, the green life and so on and so forth, the green policy. But when the government is extractive and we don't push it to be inclusive, it is impossible. That's my opinion first. Thank you.
Can I add some more?
You can.
All right.
Yeah. For example, Askar, you are a smart person. You are the good leaders in your countries, and you want to change these countries to be better without gas emission, with the good environment and others. So people like you. But when you wanted to become a leader, so you need to be supported by any parties. For example, if you want to become a governor, you need to be supported by 3 parties minimum in the situation. So the parties will support you when you give money to them. So it's called by mahar politik. Yeah, every parties have different numbers, but you need to pay it. But when you try to pay it, so you will ask a sponsor. Yeah, to whom you ask the sponsor? Of course, with the companies. Yeah, and the companies will give you money, but of course, company needs a feedback. What is the feedback? Maybe, yeah, when you become a governor, please don't disturb us. Please, you erase or remove this kind of the law, this kind of constitution and others. So there is the MOU behind that. When the companies give you money and you can become a leader. Yeah, when you become a leader, of course, you have a big debt to the oligarchies. You have a big debt to that companies. That companies has destroyed the environment. So my question is, are you ready to say no to the people that give you money that makes you become a leaders? So it's really difficult, right? So this is the reasons that we need to give a good system, yeah, good system, how to make the people can easily to become a leader. It is not it's not the system that make them have to ask to the oligarchies. When the oligarchy has said so, they can do that. So this the problem itself that make many governor or many mayor or even a president, yeah, when they have stood in the highest level, so they have a debt. Yeah, they cannot say fuck you to any oligarchies because the money is coming to from them. So these are the reasons that we need to give a good system.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Indri.
how to make leader have a big independence to manage this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Indri. Sunshine, do you have any thoughts? Do you want to address that?
Yeah, I like to perceive this case more from economic perspective. I guess despite the fact that there are a number of infrastructures that successfully help governments accumulating the economic movements or mobility in each area, I believe that to move our capital city need also a big considerations toward expected return, because after learning to many projects done by the government, for example, like the airport in Majalengka, because they failed in determining the most strategic expected returns, the project is left and stopped. And that's why we need to calculate not only from the perspective of environmental damage or impact, but also in concerns of the transfer costs, the time costs, money costs, the information costs. Not only that, more importantly is also about the response of the readiness of the citizens living or surrounding the area. It also need to be counted. And talking about capital city also concerns about the possible economic crisis, because up to this time, even though our president say that he confirmed that there is no problem in regard to the economic inflations, but somehow with the uncertainty in the upcoming years, I will be quite reluctant to move the capital city, even with the latest news, if I'm not mistaken. How to say? The spending planning or the budgeting is, if I'm not mistaken, is doubled or tripled 3 times from the previous or the incumbent's budgeting. So yeah, I guess the expected return should be the utmost concerns for the government if they truly want to move the capital city.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for sharing your thoughts. This is very, very interesting because you guys mentioned related to the political side, related to the economical, even to the equity. But then again, I want to give the case first and then we can sum up and I want to give the point of that later. So I'm going to move on to the second case and I would like to hear from everyone as well. So the second case is related to this one. So you live in a very condensed and populated town. There is a project to build new housing for the poor. Again, this is related to Sunshine, the last sentence, people surrounding in the area. So this is, we talk about that. And the available location is home to endangered birds. So did go ahead. What do you think, guys? Miss Livia, Miss Dania, Miss Anis, Mr. Zainul. Wait, okay, Dania. Yeah, what do you think, Dania?
Okay, yeah. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, very clear.
Okay, since we're discussing about rare birds, this is, I think this is something that should be prioritized for protection. And the construction should not have taken place there. If I'm not mistaken, we have AMDAL, right? One of the AMDAL rules state that consideration should be given to a business or activity that is likely to have a large and significant impact on the environment, such as process and the activity whose outcomes will affect the preservation of natural resource conservation area or the protection of cultural heritage. So I think, in my opinion, every development will be passed for its EIA, its environmental impact analysis, whether it's gonna be passed or not, based on the result from the analysis. I think.
Thank
So
you.
I think, yeah, that's it.
Do you have anything else to add? It's all right.
Yeah, the point is, before they are developed the new project in that area, they have to pass its EIA.
All right. Thank you to add that point. So you choose to protect the endangered birds, and do you have any suggestion to reallocate to another place, or what do you think?
Based on the environmental impact analysis, is that pass or not?
All right, thank you, Dania. Okay, Indre, do you have any comment on that?
Yeah. Okay, thank you for the chance. Yeah, so this is our big homeworks that we need to find the equilibriums, how to make this world or this earth will be balanced. But if I have to choose one, I prefer to give a house, especially for the poor society. Why? It's because welfare and prosperity is the first. When they are get the welfare, they get the prosperity, they will get a good educations. When they have a good educations, they are educated to choose or decide what is good and what is bad for this earth. So this is will invest for the long-term goal to this earth. Yeah. Moreover, when we try to let the bird live in that situation in the city, but they are not our leader. They cannot change the world. They are not in the highest level of the manager of this world. So this is the reasons that we need to invest to the human, is not to the bird. The bird will not change the world, but only the human that can change the world. So this is the reasons that give the poor society the house, give them the prosperity, give them the welfare, and they will be the educated one, and they will know what is wrong and what is good for this world. Thank you.
Thank you, Indre. This is very interesting because Dania choose the birds and Indre now choose the people because they cannot be our leader. Before Sunshine and Angga, I know you want to say something, but I want to hear from Anis. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah,
Or
but
Naya?
Okay.
sorry, but Dania ideas is really good, and I really appreciate it also when I stand as the environmentalist there.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong. That's why we discuss these topics because everyone have different backgrounds and again different ethics, and that's what we're gonna share and learn today. Anis, do you have any thoughts regarding this case?
Okay, I want to say I want to give any response.
Yep.
Well, actually, I'm waiting for the next question. I thought will be easier than before. But the second question is harder than I think I would like to give my opinion about the previous question, why the capital city need to move rather than this one. It's harder. But I will try.
Yeah, please. Thank you. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with
Well,
one.
guys, okay. For the prologue, you all are so gorgeous. The first I want to say that it is good to separate it the how to say that the central government activities and in the industrial area, the government area and then industrial area. I want to talk about why capital cities should move then related to this. The first is maybe we can say that Jakarta is being too crowded and it's overpopulation, and it is good to move, but this is only for the government area, government activity. How to say that? And also, if this building is not becoming a home or industrial area, it would be fine. As let's take example. For example,
Do you mean for housing, for living? I'm sorry.
For housing.
Do you mean not for industrial? Is for just for housing or living?
Yeah, no, maybe this is only for government business needs.
Government business.
Government area, like you need like industrial area and government area. So
Okay.
you do not build any in factory or something there which destroy the environment.
All right, I just got to confirm. So this is addressing the first case. Yeah, all right.
And also for this one, yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you have any other thoughts, Anis? So that's the first.
It is difficult for me to make clear what's on my mind.
It's okay. It's okay. If you already find it like the right words, just feel free just to raise your hand or just type it in the chat box so everyone can respond. I can see these three guys already raised their hands here.
Yeah.
Do you have? Are you done?
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. I'm sorry. There's a cat fighting in the background. All right. Sunshine. What do you think? If you can share it 1 minute, it will be great.
Okay, the very first idea is that I can propose is to pursue the possibility of coexisting between those endangered birds and also the housing at the same time. And if it fails, then I would like to propose the second proposal. It is to do some genocides. The hidden one is to kill the poor, because I don't think their life will bring some meaningful benefits for others. Okay, and the third proposal would be to debate what has been delivered by Kibo before, in the day before, in regard to the moment when he said that the birds cannot control and cannot have the power or the authorities, the moment then they need to be represented. Okay, because because investing in the poor, it still need a long-term investment. Okay, and we still need to calculate whether they can be expected to bring the expected return or not. Okay, while endangered birds probably they will go to extinct, and there will be nothing to replace them. Okay, that's 1 minute if I'm not mistaken. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sunshine, for the concise points. But we get the 3 points there. Angga, and then Ungu.
Talking about housing, I'm not sure it's about the supplies, because sometimes the problem is not about the supply of the housing. The problem is about the access to public services, the access to affordable houses for the community. Let's take Melbourne as an example recently. So housing is a big issue in Melbourne, Australia, where many houses are very expensive for people, especially in the center of the city. So people are not able to access it, even though they can access it, but it's too expensive for them. So poor people can afford it. That's why the government offered them more cheaper housing in a very far areas, distant areas from the central of the city. And it takes a very long time for them to access schools, health services, and so on. So it's only poor people who can access it, but it's their life becomes more stressful, because every public services is quite distant from their areas. For example, if you want to go to work, you need to spend 45 or to 1.5 hours every day in the morning, and it's quite stressful for them to reach the area. So instead of, in my opinion, instead of expanding more houses, especially in the far areas like this, we need to expand more in cheap and affordable houses for people. because there's so many empty apartments, for example, in the center of the cities, but it remains empty because many people cannot afford it. Just what has been happening in UK recently, like especially in the middle of the pandemic. So that's what I think about this issue.
Okay, thank you, Angga. So you're basically saying that we actually don't really need to build a new housing, but we can use the existing housing, but have a cheaper price, right? Yeah, I think so. Okay, Unggul, what do you think?
To me.
Yep.
Okay, I want to say it paradigmatically. So the problem, the first is in our GDP, for example. In our paradigm, there is no environmental ethics coming in our curriculum of university, especially in economy, right? For example, when I'm smoking and I'm going to the hospital and I pay it to cure, for example, my sickness, it is called also GDP, right? Even in bad activities, it's called GDP. But there is no, what the heck? But in this case, we should know the new paradigm that has been existed since, I think, 2018, when I was in OTA, the first founding. There is a concept called the growth. I mean, the negative growth should be avoided. Right? That's the first case, to make sure that even though we are running less the progress, the growth of GDP, for example, from 5 to be 4 or 3, but it is healthy growth, not a bad growth, right? The first, okay, because the first, there is no understanding about ethics of our environment in our economic curriculum. It has a consequences to the policymaker that they abandon about the environmental ethics, right, in their public policy making. The second, what has been said by Mr. Sani regarding to the poor, it also coming back to our paradigm. We are applying neoclassical economic curriculum in monetary area. So in that case, there's no God hand that can help them from the poor, right? So I will give my good hand from the angel. So when we know monetarily, I has been writing on it on my Instagram account, for example, that the sovereign monetary government like Indonesia, which is issuing and taxing in its own currency, they can afford anything domestically. For example, buying unemployed people. Government could, for example, provide, the job, like what has been doing by Franklin Delano Roosevelt in US back then. They create the job guarantee, for example, and make sure that all of the people have the job, all of the people have income, and so on and so forth. So the case of affordability of poor people will be ignored, will be nothing on there. So they could afford the housing that is good for them, and so on and so forth, by their own capacity of money. The problem is we have what we call it poverty trap in Indonesia, because the poor people, they have no support from the government to make sure that their education will be going well, that the labor will provide the jobs. There's a lot of problem with this, but the problem is the paradigm that has been implemented, applied in our universities. They are 100% garbage in Indonesia in economic terms, right? So we should change it first. Of course, it should be going to the politics anymore, but it is my point first. The point of politics, maybe Indra will say it, because he is the successor of Putin, maybe. Yeah,
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Unggul. Yeah. I'm studying economics as well in my undergrad, so it's kind of like a flashback when I try to remember what I learned before and what I'm currently learning right now. But yes, so you guys have like very interesting points. Like everyone has a very distinct, and again, it's related to the background and related to the ethics and motive and paradigm, as Unggul and Shanshan mentioned. So I want to move on because we have another cases to solve. But again, like when we talk about case that we just discussed, we see like there's a very different motive, and that's all revealed. So it's often obvious, as you mentioned before, for the oligarch, it's probably the business, the profit. For the government, they say it's for the development, for the pro growth, for the poor people. But then again, because it's obvious, sometimes it has a competing like ideology or aims, right? So again, like the sample is like pro growth versus the pro environment, and then efficiency versus equity. That's something that we often like hear and discuss, like become the main topic when we read about environmentalism. And so, for example, like we hear this one probably often. I just use the popular one. The Indonesian capital city is sinking, and then we want to move the capital. And is it really solve the sinking problem, or is it what is the motive actually? Is it like solving the sinking, or because it's the economy, because the government want to put the capital city in the middle of the nation, or what is it actually? People are asking about that questions. And then recently we heard about the bill in Guatemala that's related to the oil extraction. So the government give the permit for the business to open like make road and like bridge. So that's also similar what happened in Indonesia, in Papua. And because I come from Yogyakarta, so we also have similar, like when we want to develop the new airport, the discussions or the debate is between the equity, whether it's who is it for, and the people, like and the people who live there, and people who want to travel. Some people say like people who have money. So it's always like that. There's always a debate when we are talking about development, when we are talking about environment. And so now the environmentalism itself, right? So what do you think about environmentalism? So like maybe you heard about this guy, Professor Herman Daly. So he says that environmentalism is support for the preservation or improvement of the natural environment. And that's related to the next case. So do you care about climate change, and why do you care about it? I want to hear from, this is easy questions, right? So do you care about climate change, and why do you care about it? From Arya, what do you think?
Hi everyone, how are you guys? Sorry, I
Good.
just joined. Actually, I don't
Alright.
know the material, but yeah, I might.
Yeah, this is just a discussion. It's all right.
Yeah.
So,
well, talking about climate change, this is a very I think this is this is actually not a new issue, but just become a big thing recently, right? It's been talking like 2 or 3 decades. Nobody believes at that time, and now the impact is become more real. And yeah, I think
do you believe it? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Okay,
After
I'm just asking because
yeah, but when I've been heard about it, like when I was in the high schools, but at the time I don't really believe this kind of issue, or because it's not still impact like recently is the impact is very massive, like what happened in Fiji, that people lost their islands. Islands is vanished because of this issue. Yeah, I believe that. Bless. And
why
so
do you care?
Climate
Why do
change,
you care?
I care. Why do you care? But because the impact is real. I think that's the answer, I guess.
Because the impact is real.
Yeah.
The impact of what? To what? Do you feel the impact already?
For me personally, Yes or no and no. I have maybe the what I have a house in Pekalongan. It's when I lived there, the flood never come to enter my house. But now, after many change, I guess it's finally come to my house.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, wow.
maybe that's
Thank
the just
Mhm.
the small examples, but compared to what happened in Fiji and the Pacific Islanders, that's
Mhm.
cannot be comparable, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Arya, for sharing.
Yep.
Dania, do you want to share your thoughts? What do you think? Do you care about it, and why do you care?
Yeah, as the speaker said before, there's any various impact of the climate change. This is what I'm talking about, that indeed development will provide various positive impact to the economic development, people's welfare or others. But we are think once again, if all the green area are used for this development, for example, home for the poor, like the case before, and how will our and then our nature will disappear in the future, which bring the climate change. And think, how will we live if our nature in danger, we will cause unexpected disaster like extreme weather that we don't have the clue. It suddenly uh, extreme rain and how to say banjir suddenly, and
Right.
that's why flood. Yeah, that's why we need to think about this imbalance of development with its environmental impact to the future. We are talking about future. We cannot live in this city if our uh, nature environmental in danger.
Thank you so much, Dania, for sharing. Indri, what do you think?
Yeah, every single thing is that related to our life, we need to care, right? So these are the reasons that, moreover, this is wrong or not about the climate change, but we need to do a research. We need to do or learn more about that. But as far as I know, many countries that has been impacted by that climate change itself. For example, Fiji, Tuvalu, Nauru, Kiribati, Palau, many countries that has been lost many islands. It's because of that gas emission or the climate change itself. Moreover, based on the research also said Indonesia will lose more than hundreds of small islands this year is because of the gas emissions. So this is the reasons that we need to care about. But behind that, we need to watch also many organizations played with this issue. I cannot mention a kind of the organizations, but many organizations played with these issues and they earn a lot of money because of that issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Indri. I think we need to make another discussion regarding that, right? Because it's very interesting, and yeah, there's a lot of behind even environment and climate change topic. But I want to hear from who else haven't spoken yet. Asana or Mas Medi, what do you think? Satria or Naya? Anyone else, you want to add something? Or good? Good, I guess. So yeah, so there's 3 thoughts from Arya mentioned about the impact to, like, you felt it yourself, right? So he has house in Pekalongan, and then before it never got flooded. Now the water comes in to his house. And then I like it when Dania mentioned about how will our nature like sustain in the future, and how it will be if it's endangered. And then Indre, I like the point when he said about we have to care about everything that impact our life. So that's actually already present different ethics behind environmentalism. Why it's so hard to mention? But so here, yeah, I'm gonna move. So the ethics is the moral principles that guide the behavior, and it affects how humans make decisions, and it also impacts how it affects the environment. And there are several ethics behind environmentalism. Oops, why is always changing now? The first one is the naturalism. If you heard about how Dania mentioned about how our nature, and she always focus on how it impact our future when it's in endangers, is actually related to naturalism, because she emphasized on the respect and duty toward those who are other than human. So the rights are given to non-humans, right? And then even in naturalism, it has different types. The first one is the de-ecology. So humans shouldn't significantly disturb or dominate the nature. If you know, probably Indre know like some of the organization who have this philosophy behind, or the principle, like Walhi. So they have this kind of like deep ecology background. And then biocentrism, they believe that all forms of life have moral standing. And then some people also have this background like ecocentrism, when the highest moral standing is not on like individual, like not only like individual like human or the plants or the animals, but the whole ecosystem. And then scientism. So like we already, like these people are, they have feeling, like they have respect towards any like animals or plant who have experience, like who have capacity to experience. If you guys ever watch a movie like Octopus Teacher, and then there's like some movies in Netflix related to animals, when they do research to several animals who have very sensitive or capable of experiencing these all concepts are supporting why people have the motive to have environmentalism, and like to do like to, what is it called, like to have more on environment than to human. Like instead of talking about like development and then growth, they are focused on like the environment itself. That's people with this naturalism background. But then another one is humanism. If you heard the argument that probably from Indre or Arya, it's impacting their life. It's related to concern towards human, right? So it's like the benefits and challenge that they face. And the rights are given to humans, not to the natural world. And there's also some type of the humanisms, like utilitarian economy. We have this utilitarianism, like focus on human welfare and well-being. And then some of them also focus on like how human have freedoms of rights. And then some people also call this humanism as anthropocentrist. So it's focused on the human instead of the natural world. But then it's not like, sometimes it's not like black and white. In Balinese community, we have this concept. So I want to discuss with you guys as well. So in Balinese community, is, you guys know, like it has been known for their various rituals on the living ecosystem, including the trees. So what do you think is the story behind the sacred sarong and ritual for the tree in this community? Maybe anyone from Bali or have lived there before?
Dania is, as I know, is in Bali.
Dania, what do you think?
Yeah, wait. Oh yeah, I'm living in Bali, and
That's cool.
the Balinese people first about Trihita Karana, like how the relation of human to the environment, human to human, and human to the God. And they believe in that. That's why these rituals are still living in this society.
And do you know why? I mean, like the story behind the sarong. I'm just to know.
I'm not a Balinese people, but I'm living in Bali, so I don't really understand about why the sarong ritual committee.
Thank you, Dania. But that's I live in Bali for only 1 year, but yeah, I heard about that Trihita Karana. So it's between God and human and environment, and they do really like think about that aspect in their life. Anyone else want to add something? Naya, have you ever heard about it? Are you there, Naya? Or Mas maybe? I think it's not there. Satria? Brosis?
Yes, hello.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I just joined with the conversations.
No worries. It's all right. So yeah, do you see the presentation here?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so there's a picture, a guy in a tree, and that's related to Balinese community. So what do you think is the story behind the sacred sarong and ritual for the tree?
Well, actually, I don't really know. I don't know the answer because I'm not Balinese. Eventually, I am now staying in Bali for 8 years already, but I don't know. Yeah, but as far as I know, Balinese people respect of anything, respect of everything, God, humans, organism, everything, even things. They respect on things as well. So yeah, things. The sarung is maybe one of the way Balinese people respect on the trees or something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
Thank you very much. Sunshine, do you know anything about the Balinese community, how they live with nature?
You call me?
Yes.
And
I'm going to be commenting.
I'm from Malang, by the way. Thank you.
Indra, what do you think?
Okay. The first, that sarong is called by kain poleng. So there is the philosophy behind that. Yeah, that's I read right now. Google.
Thank you.
Yeah, the behind philosophies or that is how to make human protected the environment, and regarding to the color between black and white. So this is the symbol of the expressions of Balinese to the god that is called by penghayatan roa binida. So means there is good and bad. Yeah, white is good, black is bad. And regarding to the way or some things that related to this religion also is called by a system. It is called by uh, the rule also is like constitution in our countries. I spot in that trying to make the difficult bureaucracy, how to make the people cannot easily to feel that trees. You know, in Bali, yeah, it's not easy to fill in the trees, yeah, even though you see daunnya atau akarnya udah sampai ke jalan and other, so it's not easy to fill it. You need to to do a big bureaucracy at the first if you want to fill in that trees. So I suppose that is good. It's trying to protect our environment. It doesn't make the oligarchy easily to do what they want, because they need to go to the people or to go to the leader of that region first and do a kind of the bureaucracy. So this is my assumption. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Indri, for sharing, sharing the information, and for everyone who share your thoughts. Yeah, so like in Balinese community, they are very respecting their natural environment, and same. I also just search it on Google because I just think like which community who I know there's like a lot of indigenous community in Indonesia who very respect on nature, but I just want to show one of this example is a Balinese community. And so they have, as Dania mentioned before, the Tri Hita Karana. So wait, I put it in the last one. So there's a moral philosophy how the Balinese community will reach this called as prosperous well-being. So they have to have this harmony with God in the top, and then among people, and also with nature. And that's like they put them like in their daily life and how they see the world. And then there's also like probably Mas Satria also like mentioned, because you've been living in Bali for 8 years, like we realize like every time they get something, they always put it back. They put that like in the corner of their house and everywhere. So they put it also like back to nature, and then also the spirits. And there's also this sacred banyan tree. That's one of the tree that I just showed you before, and the tree that they always cover it with that sorrow. That's present the eternal cycle of death and birth. So they respect the spirits there. And then there's also like in one of the rituals called Tumpak Wariga, it's not only about like, okay, they're giving to the spirits, they're giving to the environment, but they also want something back for themselves, right? So they worship, they pray, so they produce more plants and fruits and flowers again for them, to have like better like better food, better like, as Sunshine like at the beginning mentioned about food issue. So that's also like regarding where they do their rituals. So again, like naturalism and humanism, sometimes it's not like black and white. Sometimes it has like, it can be together when we are talking about the environmentalism. And before I move on, I forgot what do I have after this slide. But recall, because we almost it's almost 10, but I just want to hear from each of us. So like, which do you think your ethics are? You tend to be more on naturalism or humanism, and why? Because we already learned a bit about that, right? Who want to start? Who is the sleepiest? I think Sunshine, because you smile very very big there. Which
You
one do you
really-
think you more? Yeah.
You really look like a lecturer. That's why I love.
I'm so sorry. Because my lecturer always do that to me. Every time I do like yawning and then like, Aska, okay. So which one do you think you guys like? Do you guys more on naturalism or humanism? Or both? There's nothing wrong. Okay, Angga, you want to start?
I'm not sure where I am because I'm not that familiar with the concepts you've been bringing here. But for me, human and nature can be separated. Human, in fact, is one of the is a part of the nature, right? Because we consume something from the nature. Nature can also benefit something from us by preserving it differently, like what has been done by Balinese community for ages, right? Because they have been a part of ongoing climate activists, I could say, because they also have been preserving their forests for generations. And I could say that it's not unique for Balinese people as well. It's unique as well for many indigenous communities in Indonesia, where they have been contributed to carbon storage, because since they regard their nature, their forests, as their identity. That's why I could say that the human is part of the nature. Since in Dayak community, for example, because I'm from Borneo, they say that when you're destructing your forest, you're destroying your identity. So your identity is in nature as well. You've been preserving it, doing a lot of things with your forests, like you've done like ceremonial stuffs, something like that, right? It's part of our nature. When you destroy it, you destroy your identity. That's why I could say that it cannot be separated. Human needs nature, nature needs human as well. So yeah, maybe you can suppose where I am, yeah, based on the perspective I've mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angga. Yeah, that's why I mentioned before, like it doesn't have to be black and white. It doesn't have some like we don't have to call ourselves as a naturalism or like a naturalism only or humanism only, but we can be like, it's not like black and white. It can be both or in between. So anyone want to share which in this spectrum, which one are you? Anis, I want to know.
Could you, do you mind sharing your slides regarding the naturalism you're mentioning, Aska?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Some people might forget about some because this is quite theoretical.
This one.
There you go.
This is the naturalism. So the rights is towards the natural world. Human is the rights towards the human. But then even in naturalism, there's still some like still some different like backgrounds, like different like deep ecologists are also different with people who have ecocentrism.
Which type is Balinese community here? I'm just wondering.
I think it's more on biocentrism.
Okay.
So this is just, I just put it like very brief, and yeah.
What about you, Aska? You can also actually share your own thoughts on this. Which
I want to hear from
type are you?
everyone else. Wait, I think I hear someone. No. I haven't heard from Mehdi and Naya. Naya, are you there?
Is it Naya from Jogja? Your
I
new
think
friend?
so, yes. Oh, Arya, I think you want to share. Which one are you, yeah?
I think what Angga said is very beautiful. I mean, yeah, people is part of the nature itself. But to be honest, yes, like you said before, you write, Aska, that I'm more into humanism rather than naturalism. I believe that we can fight economic. I mean, people will think in the economics way. So if it's benefit them, they will try to do it legally or illegally. So yeah, we have to make people believe that they are part of the nature, and if they damage the nature, the nature will fight back. The nature will damage them. I think that's what we have to make people change their behavior. People in general, not the naturalism. I think this is just the majority of the people is the humani, what you call it? That's the
Humanism.
humanism. So yeah, I think to change people to more like have an environmental ethics in their mind, we have to change. We have to convince them that if they are dangerous, they endangering the nature will fight back. They will get the impact. Yeah.
It feels like I'm watching a movie. I think there's a movie related to that, right? I don't know. I think Avatar is also one of them who try to say that if you damaging the nature will fight back. Aku, what do you think, Aku?
I have no idea about it. I have no idea about it because as far as I'm concerned, because my mentor is education, maybe the way how to take care of my environment to enhance the awareness, the way how to take care human or not human natural resources. Just that.
Are you more on naturalism or humanism? What do you think?
Yes. I don't really care about the environment actually, because even I care with it, but how impact is that? It's only talking theoretically, but practically, when we have no business about it, why we have to care? Well, as long as Mr. Indri and
No, it's very good. It's very good point because
Mr. Sunshine, Mr. Angga, and Lord Achi say that because they have a business and oligarch broker, when we have a relation or we have a business, and behind that there is a regulation or obligation to cover that, to save that business. Of course, if we have no policy and whatever, it's nonsense. We are only discussing. Yeah, at least the way how to sharpen our critical thinking.
No, it's a very good point, Aku, because everyone, like when you share like this, is actually also represent people who think probably like you, or everyone represent someone else actually sometimes. So it's good point to share here. I want to hear from Indre. After all this discussion, which sides do you think you are?
Yeah, maybe frankly speaking, I prefer to the humanism, because what I told in the beginning, I do want to invest long-termly, especially to the human, because who will destroy the 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 environment? Of course, the human. So this is the way how to stop the human with investing knowledge or a kind of the thing to the human itself. So this is the reasons that I prefer to stand as the humanism rather than naturalism, including to even more to the economic side also. That happens the several years ago when Jokowi going to natural based economy, and Prabowo to the knowledge based economy, or also it's called by human based economy. What happened several years ago? For example, we know Qatar, we know South Korea is kind of the poorest country in this in the world, and they invest their effort, they invest their energy to the human and others. So you can see on how they can develop to become the good countries with the nice cities arrangement, especially. So these are the reasons that human is the most crucially.
Thank you, Indri. Thank you for sharing. Thank you everyone for also sharing your thoughts and perspective regarding this. And back to Angga's question, so which one am I? I think I'm calling myself more on naturalism, and in the part like Bali biocentrism. So I just see like everyone have a moral standing, not only human but also all the environment and everyone who live under this. But the interesting point when we talk about, like, with even with this 11 or until 15 participants, we can see like many of us, when we talk about environment, we are probably more, it's nothing wrong with it, but we have background or motive more on the humanism, right? But then probably like the communications and the debates are more on the naturalism part. And that's why sometimes it doesn't match between one people and another one, between one countries to another countries. That's why we need to understand when in a climate negotiation, that's what the negotiator always list, like what is the motive behind those countries. Are they more on the development part? Are they more on the growth part? For the Pacific people, they are talking more about loss and damage. But then when we're talking with the advanced country, most of them are talking about like mitigation part. And then when we're talking about the developing country, more on adaptation parts. So everyone are talking different topics and parts of the environment. And that's what makes it like very interesting when we talk about climate change. And that's also leading to our end or the conclusion. I'm just next. So the conclusions is, the first one is again, wait, how do I move this thing? Okay, so again, ethics and moral compass. Different ethics lead to different motive and ways of implementation. And understanding different ethics, like what we did today, this is actually a little experiment and exercise for us. It also helped to like break loop of vicious heated debates, like what happened, as we heard in many news and many negotiations about environmentalism, and then also focus on the result. If we know that everyone want to save, so we are not talking about saving our planet, but also saving ourselves, then we have to change or shift the language instead of focus on like, because I just realized that as well, when I say saving our planet, some people may not really care about the planet, but care when the planet is gone, like where do I live? So that's probably like the focus, should be the focus of climate change negotiation or climate change promotions. So I guess that's become the end of the discussion. Hopefully everyone enjoy this discussion, and I don't know, probably we'll see each other again in other topic. But thank you very much for participating and keep in touch. Thank you, Angga. Back to you.
Thank you, Aska, for sharing our discussion. This is very interesting and crucial issue to discuss. But anyway, there's Naya there on the chat box, raising some thoughts and perspective. You guys can read her perspective over there. We actually still have 4 minutes. Does anyone have something to say before I conclude this discussion? I close this discussion. Nope. Okay. But anyway, thank you so much, Aska. Before we end, I wanna give some feedback of the day regarding our English, but I didn't write a lot of things because I really enjoyed the discussion. But I've written some. Sorry, where are they? There you go. Okay, some phrases that are related to our discussions today. Some people have mentioned it, on the chat box, like constituent, which means supporter on politics. Okay. Some people also mention oligarchy. Yeah, it's also related to the this point. Okay, which is oligarchs. Yes, I know the way to pronounce it, oligarchs. And then there's a political dowry. It's like a political supporter that gives some politicians intentions to do something, some stuff. Yeah, mahar politic. This is actually this often appears near election times, usually, where the businessmen give some money to politicians. And then AMDAL, analysis dampak lingkungan, which means environmental impact analysis or assessment. Now, this is some term, okay, in our discussion. Flood means banjir. Sometimes when we are talking quickly, we forget some vocabularies, but it's normal actually. The way we learn, it's part of the process. Okay, that's all that I can say before we close the discussion. It's time for us to take some photos. So anyone, could you please open your videos and share your beautiful and handsome face? Sunshine, thank you, Dania. Anis, Naya, Medi, Satria, could you please share your face, your video, your camera? Sunshine, where are you? Okay, Indra, can you?
Sorry,
Anis?
I don't know.
Uh-huh.
My camera get
Not
trouble.
working?
Yeah.
It's so unfortunate. This is a crucial moment. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. If you can share your video, your camera. All right. Let me count. Give me a second. Okay, on a count. I'm gonna count from 1 to 3. 1, 2, 3. One more. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you everyone for coming and sharing your thoughts on this. And Aska, again, we really appreciate you have made so many interesting cases and questions to discuss tonight. Well, before we end, let's say our jargon. When I say Otak community, you need to say yesterday, we said tomorrow. Okay, Otak community.
Yesterday, say tomorrow.
Thank you so much, everyone, and I'll see you guys again next week in another interesting topic. Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you so much.